Japan, the home of sushi, Pokemon, anime, and one of the world's best airlines. And since Japan is my favorite country, I wanted to see what it was like to fly business class on this airline. And I'm gonna be rating it based on these 5 different categories to find out what it's actually like. But now before I even check in for this flight, we've got a pretty big issue. Well, technically 2. You see, right now I'm actually in Beijing, so it's not ANA's home airport, meaning I don't get to check out the ANA business class lounge. I think in place of that, it's like the Air China business class lounge. But now the second part is the fact that I'm in Beijing, China. And the reason for that is because I have no idea if I'm allowed to film in airports. In some countries, they say it's a sensitive territory and you could literally get kicked out and or arrested for filming. So I'm kind of gambling with that right now, and there's military walking around pretty much everywhere here. So there's a 50% chance I get told off, a 25% chance I get arrested, and the last 25% is that all goes according to plan. We're about to find out. So making my way past some of the soldiers, I soon figured out where I needed to be, but during the check-ins is where I ran into my first problem.
Yeah, and the one baggage $200.
Cool. That's just for me. I do. So I've now got the boarding pass, but in the process, I was flagged for having a camera, which means there's a high percentage chance security is about to be on me, but we'll find out. Or maybe they'll even get me at the gate. I'm really not sure. Now the big plus for today's flight is that I'm in seat 14K, which is a window seat, so I am super pumped. But now that I do have the boarding pass, I think it's time to go head through security because I have a feeling it's gonna take a super long time here. And then it's time for the business class lounge. Now I will say that this was the most stressed out that I have been before any flight, but surprisingly security was super fast, but I didn't realize this was only the first half of it. Somehow I managed to get through security without any issues. I mean, they did triple check my bag and go through my camera and also ask for my batteries, but we made it through security. Haven't been arrested yet, haven't seen the military, could still potentially happen, but now that we are past security, it's time to go check out that business class lounge. But in the meantime, I still needed to take another train across the airport since this place was so massive. You know, technically I still need to get on the plane, but I'm genuinely surprised I've made it this far without getting in trouble. I was fully filming in the check-in area. Once I got past security, I was filming there, and a little bit of security I filmed there. I think the train is kind of considered security. So I guess all the stereotypes you hear about China and that you can't film is just completely wrong, because somehow I was able to get away with it. So now that security was dealt with, it was time to explore the business class lounge. Making my way inside, there was plenty of places to sit, a mini garden, a movie room, and also a giant panda. Now not only were there views overlooking all of the planes, but when it came to the food, there was a ton to choose from, such as dumplings and other hot dishes, fruits, snacks, breads, desserts, and much more, so you already know that I stocked up. I'll be completely honest here, the lounge exceeded my expectations. I won't lie, before coming here, I did Google what lounge it was going to be and found out it was Air China's and not ANA's. My only complaints is that it's a little bit on the dated side. The food is decent, but not amazing. There's a pretty wide variety, which is solid. But the weird thing is that if you want to connect to the Wi-Fi, you have to take a photo of your passport, which I wasn't gonna do. And remember, this isn't an ANA lounge, so this rating's kind of just for fun. But I'm gonna have to give this lounge a solid 7. Slightly above my expectations, but nothing amazing. But now there's only about 10 minutes or so left before this flight is supposed to board, and I am super excited to see what it's like to fly Japan's best business class. But before I do get on the flight, I think I should read you guys some of the reviews, just so we know what we're in for. All flights on time. Staff were attentive without being intrusive. Lay down flat beds were very comfortable with lots of legroom to stretch out properly. And the food was delicious with the options of Japanese or international cuisine. I looked at ANA on YouTube and liked what I saw. The seat is very spacious and comfortable and converts to a lay flat bed. We were very surprised by the extent of the Japanese menu and attention to detail in all of the dishes. Wonderful flight. We splurged on business class tickets and were very happy that we had done so. The meals were delicious and there was a wide offering of drinks. My advice, go ANA if at all possible. So now obviously, since it's Japan's best rated business class, I hope it's going to be really good. According to the reviews, it's super solid. Now, sometimes when you fly ANA, they also have Pokemon-themed aircraft. As a Pokemon nerd, would greatly appreciate it if that's the plane I'm on. But from my experience, the reviews are one thing, and the flight can potentially be completely different. So I think it's time to head to the gate to see what ANA's business class is actually like. I hope it's as good as people say. Now, even though I was done in the lounge and made it this far, I could still potentially be pulled aside by security for filming in the airport. And when I got to my flight, I noticed something pretty disappointing. Sadly, it is not the Pokemon plane. I'm a little bit disappointed. Thank you. Thank you. It's time to see what ANA's business class is actually like. I am super excited for this. Hi there. That way?
That way.
Cool.
Making my way through the plane, I thought that this was my seat for today, which turned out to actually be the first class, but soon enough I made it back to my actual seat for today's flight.
I'll be honest, I've been on a lot of business class flights before, and this seat is super cool and also super different. On some airlines, you'll have suites. On other airlines, you'll have business class seats like this, which aren't very private. And I intentionally picked one at the window because it has a little bit more privacy. The one behind me faces the aisle, which is a little bit less. If you sit in the middle, it's not the greatest. So I pretty much got the best seat on the plane besides the first class, which I really wish I could have sat in. And as for the seat itself, the butt cushion is probably the most padded I've ever felt on any airline. The backrest is super solid. It is really soft. And the headrest, well, there's not a ton of it, but with what there is, it's actually pretty solid. As for the legroom, there is tons. I could literally put my legs all the way, wiggle my toes, and I'm still nowhere close to touching the back of this seat. Again, I'm only 5'10", I'm not in the 6 foot gang, but even if you were 6 foot, I don't think you'd be able to touch. But now I literally just got on the plane. It's been like 2 minutes or something like that. So I think it's time to check out the rest of this seat.
Taking out the tray table, this thing had a stronger pull-out game than me, and flipping out the sides, it was massive. But to my left were the buttons to control the seat and the do not disturb one. There was also this ancient remote, some over-ear headphones for the movies, and another button which made my seat recline.
It's a bed.
Now, not only did this seat indeed become a bed, but I also had 2 windows to myself. There were all of these different ports and chargers, a coat hanger, storage bins, cup holder, these cool LED light strips, and a safety pamphlet, which I might be needing since this is a Boeing. But there were also a bunch of other random things that moved, so I'm just gonna call these my ADHD toys.
Now, I do need to be honest about something that I'm a little bit disappointed about. For all the plane nerds out there, when I originally booked this flight, it was on the 787, which has this business class. Honestly, that is the best business class that ANA has hands down, but for some reason they switched the flight to a different airplane, which means this business class isn't quite as good. It's still great, it's still good, don't get me wrong, but it's not like 10 out of 10. And I do have to mention, when it comes to ANA, I think they have like 6 different business class configurations, which means your seat could look like this, or it could look like that, or it could look like this. So unless you're someone who actually looks at what plane you're going to be flying, you're basically rolling the dice as to what seat you're going to get. And again, not complaining, it's still awesome. But now I think we're supposed to be pushing back in the next few minutes, and then once we're in the air, I gotta check out the entertainment system, we gotta get the meal, and so much more. I am excited for this flight.
Soon enough, I began pushing back from the gate. The Pokemon safety video began playing, and then it was time for takeoff.
So now that I'm in the air, I do have another tiny little complaint. And I already know what the comments are going to say, oh, you're such an entitled brat, da-da-da-da-da. Trust me, every time I get to fly business class, it is an absolute childhood dream come true, and I am extremely grateful that I'm able to do this. Now, normally when you fly business class, the minute you get on the plane, you get like a glass of champagne, you get some orange juice, you get water, at least something. This has happened to me on Singapore Airlines, Etihad, Emirates, and pretty much any airline you could possibly think of. But here on ANA, I didn't get anything. Sometimes it takes a couple of minutes, so I wanted to give the benefit of the doubt and just kind of wait, but now that we're in the air, I can confidently say that didn't happen. There was no water, there was no champagne, there was nothing. And again, I don't mean to sound like a brat or entitled, but if someone's going to be paying all this money to fly business class, I gotta be honest with what to expect. But on the bright side, now that we are in the air, that means the flight attendants have started making the food, and I can literally smell it, and it smells amazing. So I think it's time to check out the entertainment system and also the menu, because I kind of gotta figure out what I'm going to be eating here.
Checking things out, I decided to order the Japanese cuisine meal, which came with a variety of different foods, including miso soup. And when it came to the drinks, you had your wines and champagnes, but since this was ANA, I was gonna get myself a sake. And now that I was waiting for the food, I think it's time to check out the entertainment system. Right off the bat, this thing felt ancient despite the solid screen size. Checking out the menus, there was a store to buy things, audio with Spotify, live TV, a bunch of movies, and in-flight map, which looked quite old. But now it was time to start the meal service.
Starting things off, we've got some rice crackers and also my different kinds of alcohol. This one is some sort of an orange spritz thing. This is the sake, and this is the water. But first, let's try the rice crackers. Pretty much exactly like a Rice Krispie. Solid 9.5. But now, when it comes to the orange juice, oh, pretty strong. Tastes good though. A little bit bitter. So if you're not into bitter stuff, I'd stay away. And now for the sake. For anyone who doesn't know what sake is, essentially it is rice wine, because unlike in places like Europe, they didn't have grapes in Japan. But I think you could also use potato. Oof. Smells strong, but it smells good. Ooh. That is really good. It's super smooth. It has a really good taste. I've had sake before where it's so strong that it's just not enjoyable, but this one gets a solid 10. But now that we're all done with the snacks and taste testing the drinks, it's time for the main dish. The only thing they gave me to eat was chopsticks. I know how to use them, I'm just not very good, so feel free to judge me in the comments. Solid 9. Time for whatever that is in the top left. Cheers. Really good. I don't know if this is like a potato or pineapple or what. Still have no idea what it is, but very good. We got some green stuff. Surprisingly good considering I normally hate greens, and I don't know if these are like beans or what. We'll give it a try. Really, really good. I still don't know what I ate, but like solid 9. On to the top right. Jesus, that's low-key spicy. Oh my god, I'm dying from the last one. It's actually spicy. I don't know if this is like meat or what it is, but looks like we're exploring today. I don't know why, but it kind of tastes like chocolate to me. Something's wrong with my taste buds. Alright, last bite with everything on it. I'll be honest, out of the 3 so far, that one's definitely my least favorite. Probably like 6.5, maybe a 7. But now it's time for the main dish. Cheers. Okay, they were cooking with this one. The meat is really good. The sauce is amazing. It's super juicy. It's super fresh. The sweet potatoes, solid. Yes, please. Thank you. I can't believe the flight attendant just saw me stab a carrot with a chopstick. And then the rice, perfectly well done. Solid 9.5 for the main. But now it's time for my favorite part, dessert. For anyone who doesn't already know, ice cream is literally like my favorite thing on the planet. And when it comes to Haagen-Dazs, it's also one of my favorites. Normally, I'm a chocolate guy, but I'm gonna have to settle for some cookies and cream. Let's give it a shot. It's literally an entire mini tub of ice cream. Bon appetit. Oh my god, it literally tastes as if you would get it right in the store. The ice cream gets a solid 10.
And honestly, I was pretty impressed by this meal service.
The meal was delicious, the sake was really good. So now that I'm done the meal, I think it's time to check out the bathroom and then make this seat into a bed, because I need to get some sleep before I get to Japan.
Checking out the bathroom, I'll be honest, it was definitely on the more basic side of things for a business class experience, but at least it was quite clean and had things like toothbrushes, mouthwashes, and a bidet to blast your behind.
Some people might want to blast their booty hole, but not me. I'll pass on that one.
Now getting back to my seat, I decided to put it into a bed so I could KO for the next few hours, because that sake from earlier was definitely getting to me.
I think the biggest thing that surprised me on this entire flight is just how empty it is. This flight was from Beijing to Tokyo, which is the capital of 2 countries, and maybe it's a quarter full, but now there's only about 20 minutes left in this flight, so I think it's time to give you guys my final thoughts.
Considering I didn't get arrested at check-in, things were pretty basic, so that gets 3 stars. The lounge was Air China instead of ANA, but that gets 4. The seat was a solid 4 as well. The food, a 4.5. And overall, I will say this was a pretty solid experience. But I do wish I got the chance to fly on their newer business class instead.